At 10:32, there is a pause. The shop does not become silent. A shop is never silent when it is functioning. The refrigerators hum. The freezer clicks. The light above the counter buzzes in a dry, private way. Plastic bags rustle when the warm air from the heater reaches them. But no customer is inside. Marina uses the pause like a person picking up dropped coins. She goes to the back room, pours hot water into a glass, and drops in a tea bag that has already served once at home. The water turns pale amber. Good enough. She removes the cracked egg from the delivery bowl. It has not leaked through. She marks it in the waste column, then sets it beside her lunch. Waste is waste for the shop, not always for the person who keeps the shop alive. On the backroom shelf are the things that make a small business possible, but do not appear in the story of any business. Rubber bands, tape, pens that fail, pens that almost fail, receipts in rolls, a screwdriver, 2 spare light tubes, a box of price tags, cleaning powder, a candle, though no one wants to say why it is useful, a pack of plastic spoons brought by someone and never claimed, a single glove with no partner. Marina takes the ledger and sits on the stool by the shelf. The stool is too low. It has always been too low. Someone once promised to bring a better one. That was 3 winters ago. By now, the bad stool is part of the inventory. She writes down the morning delivery, the rejected cartons, the cracked egg, the change in bread count, and a reminder to clean the freezer lip before ice builds up again. In a large store, these details disappear into scanners, schedules, automatic reports. In a small shop, they live in a person's head until the person puts them on paper. There is dignity in this, though no one applauds it. Vorkuta has always run on such lists. Coal tonnage, shift rosters, train arrivals, heating repairs, bread orders, names on apartment doors, names that stayed, names that went south, names that disappeared from the city long before the paint around the doorbell wore away. Marina drinks the weak tea. Through the back wall, she can hear the building. A child running upstairs, a door closing, water in a pipe. Somewhere above, a chair scrapes across a kitchen floor. The shop is not separate from the apartments. It is under them, beside them, inside the daily route of people who live above and around it. Customers come down in slippers sometimes, if the need is urgent and the weather outside makes bravery look foolish. They buy salt, matches, milk, bread, a battery, 1 onion, 1 lemon for tea. This is how a mining city becomes ordinary after it has been built for something severe. The mine, the rail line, the heating plant, the apartment block, the shop under the apartment block. First infrastructure, then habit. Then a child in slippers sent downstairs for salt. Not all shopping is consumption. Some shopping is repair. The front bell rings. Marina stands before she is finished swallowing. A man enters, carrying a plastic container wrapped in a towel. "Do you have dill?" "Frozen? Fresh?" "Not today." He looks disappointed but not surprised. His wife is making soup, he says. Or maybe he says stew. His voice is partly inside his scarf. Marina points to the freezer. He buys frozen dill, potatoes, and a small jar of pickles. At the counter, he adds matches. "For the stove?" Marina asks. "For everything?" he says. This is not dramatic. It is just true enough. When he leaves, Marina returns to the back room, but the tea has cooled. She drinks it anyway. By late morning, Vorkuta receives daylight carefully, as if it has traveled too far to arrive in full. The sky outside the shop windows becomes a pale iron blue. Not bright, not warm, but enough for shadows to remember what they are. Marina turns off one of the overhead lights to save electricity. The shop changes immediately. The cans on the shelves lose their glare. The bread becomes softer in color. The frost on the front window becomes more visible, feathering along the corners like something alive but very slow. At 11:12, a woman from the third entrance comes in with a list written by someone else. The handwriting is large and careful. Bread, milk, sugar, tea, soap, chicken if cheap. There is no cheap chicken. Marina says this gently before the woman has to ask twice. The woman looks at the freezer anyway, because hope is sometimes a habit. She chooses frozen dumplings instead, then stands by the counter calculating. Marina does not hurry her. Behind her, 2 other customers wait without complaint, because everyone recognizes the arithmetic of a grocery counter. Money is counted. Items are reconsidered. Soap remains. Sugar remains. Tea becomes the smaller packet. The dumplings stay. When the woman leaves, Marina sees that she has forgotten the bread. She lifts the loaf and taps the window lightly. The woman turns back, laughs once at herself, and returns for it. In another kind of video, this moment might become sadness. Here it is simply part of the day. Forgetting bread, being called back, laughing, going home. At 11:40, a group of school children arrives in a burst of cold air and high voices. They are old enough to come without adults, young enough to touch everything. Their cheeks are red above their scarves. One of them has ice on his eyelashes. They buy sweets, 1 bottle of soda, and a packet of sunflower seeds they will spill before lunch. Marina watches their hands, not because she thinks badly of them, because sweets near the counter invite experiments in ownership. 1 at a time, she says. They become 1 at a time, badly. After they leave, the shop is suddenly large and quiet. She straightens the chocolate display, returns 2 gum packets to their row, and finds a mitten on the floor. Small, navy blue, wet at the thumb. She places it on the radiator behind the counter. By afternoon, someone will come back for it. Or they will not. Either way, the mitten deserves a chance. At noon, the light outside is at its strongest. It looks like late afternoon in another place. The street is visible now. Apartment blocks, parked cars buried to the wheel arches, a bus stop, a woman pulling a sled with 2 bags tied to it, steam from a vent, a thin line of people moving between buildings with the purposeful silence of winter. Some of those buses go toward places that used to be spoken of by mine number or settlement name before they were spoken of as neighborhoods, and before some of them became mostly windows without lights. Marina doesn't think of this as history. She thinks of who still lives there, who needs bread, and which route stops close enough for an old woman to manage the snow. Marina eats lunch standing in the back room. 2 potatoes, salt, the cracked egg, dark bread, half the mandarin. She peels the mandarin slowly, keeping the skin in one piece as long as she can. The smell fills the back room with a small, impossible summer. For 30 seconds, the shop smells not like cardboard and freezer frost, but like December holidays, kitchen tables, children's hands, and trains arriving from somewhere warmer. Then the front bell rings. She wraps the remaining half in paper and returns to the counter. Afternoon in the shop is not one thing. It is a series of small corrections. Turn the bread. Wipe the counter. Move the older milk forward. Check the freezer lid. Answer the phone. Sweep the entrance. Make change. Find the price for batteries. Tell someone the delivery did not include fresh dill. Tell someone else that yes, the cheaper tea is on the bottom shelf. At 12:48, Galina from the pharmacy comes in carrying a small envelope. Coins, she says, as if delivering medicine. Marina takes the envelope and gives her 2 loaves of bread and a packet of black tea. Put it on my list, Galina says. Your list is becoming a book. Then sell it. They smile. Not because the joke is good, but because it is familiar. At 1:15, the door opens and a man in a work jacket enters. His face is marked with the tiredness of someone between shifts. He buys canned fish, bread, cigarettes, and a chocolate bar. Shift work changes the clock inside a family. Breakfast can happen at noon. Dinner can happen before sunrise. A person can come out of the dark with coal dust still in the seams of the hands and buy something sweet without explaining why. He chooses the chocolate last after looking at it for longer than the fish. Gift? Marina asks. For me, he says, then a good choice. He nods. The conversation ends there. Not every customer wants to be known. A shopkeeper must know this too. Outside, the daylight begins to thin. It does not leave all at once. It pulls back from the street corners, from under the parked cars, from the high windows of the apartment blocks. The sky returns to blue, then deeper blue. The streetlights come back into authority. Marina turns the overhead light on again. The shop brightens with an almost theatrical suddenness. She checks the freezer. Frost has built along the inner edge, where the lid does not seal perfectly. She takes the scraper from the shelf and works carefully, shaving the frost into a plastic tub. It falls in dry curls. The freezer contains dumplings, fish sticks, frozen vegetables, ice cream. No one buys in January except children and people with very specific sadness, and 2 bags of chicken pieces too expensive for the woman from the third entrance. Marina closes the lid and writes another note. Check seal. She has written this note before. She will write it again. At 2:06, the owner calls. He asks about sales. She tells him bread is moving quickly. Cheaper milk is almost gone. Tea is steady. Eggs are fine. Laundry powder slow. He asks about the side door. It opens. That is not what I asked. Then ask tomorrow. He sighs, but not angrily. He knows her too well to be offended by efficiency. After the call, Marina stands by the window for a moment. Across the street, a bus arrives. Its doors open and warm yellow light spills onto the snow. People step down carefully. One woman adjusts a child's hat. A man lifts a bag from the step and passes it to someone on the curb. The doors close. The bus pulls away, leaving a cloud of exhaust that glows briefly under the streetlight. The city was built to move people between warmth and work, between the surface and the underground, between a room with a kettle and a shaft with its own weather. Even now, when some routes are quieter than they used to be, the buses keep the old shape of the place. The city is not picturesque. It is working. That is different and more important.